Thank you, Honorable Minister. This is normally a topic that I cover in 2 days, but I've been told I have 10 minutes for it. So I'm going to just show you the skeleton. In fact, just a few bones. Now, as you can see, it's a short form. That's the full form shown over there. People say it's new, is it really going to come in a big way? So as you can see, it started in 1965. A lot of us were not born at that time. But it started off with the College of American Pathologists, and then they brought it down, and in 2000, they introduced logic into it, which is currently the thing that makes SNOMED very powerful. Simultaneously in UK, Dr. James Reed, who was a GP, was developing clinical terminology, clinical codes, but they were a bit haphazardly organized. And then in 2002, the College of American Pathologists and the NHS UK got together, and they made SNOMED CT. The IHSTO, which currently manages it, was formed in 2007. And in 2014, as you can see, India became a member of the IHSTO. And the reason why I have put both in the same color is that when we became a national member, we became part owners of the IHSTO. So it's like being a shareholder. So because of that, SNOMED CT, although pretty expensive, is free for use by all of us, whether it's an individual or an organization, whether it's public or private, as long as the final source, the final destination of the product is within India or another member of the IHSTO. So most of us own smartphones, and this is one study that showed what we use smartphones for. It doesn't matter if you can't read, but basically it's all requiring data connectivity. But now if you imagine you remove the internet connectivity, what can you use it? It becomes a dumb phone. You know those old Nokias? So you can use it for voice calls, SMS, camera, a few games like Snake. That's about it, really. So the EMR alone is like a dumb phone. I'm not saying EMR is dumb. EMR is very good. But compared to what SNOMED can deliver, SNOMED is what gives you the bells and whistles, what converts a dumb phone into a smartphone. So what does SNOMED do? It connects across. So we've been talking of interconnectivity. That's really the call of the word nowadays. That's what connects EHRs across different hospitals, across different countries. Plus, it does a lot of things more. It is clinical terminology, not coding system in a sense of not a statistical coding system. So we will see this in more detail. It has very granular details. That means every disease, every variation, every minor variation of a procedure is covered over here. It provides very clinical, powerful analytics, far more than you can do otherwise. It supports clinical decisions, so intelligence. It's got a fair amount of medical intelligence inbuilt into it. And it is used in over 15 countries. As of now, this is the best clinical terminology and likely to remain so for the next decade or so. So we are going to see how it's better than some standard healthcare coding systems. So we're going to compare it with ICD-10. It has more clinical terms. So take one example, ectopic pregnancy. There are 5 codes and 5 terms in ICD-10, but in SNOMED, there's so many. Every variation of ectopic. So when a doctor is trying to code something using ICD-10, and if he does not find a variation, he doesn't like it. And that's one of the reasons why doctors are not using EMRs, they're not coding. One of the many reasons, of course. Here with this, it is very unlikely that they will search for something and not find it. It has multiple ancestors. SNOMED has multiple ancestors, unlike others. So what does it mean? So let's look at one problematic example in ICD-10, pneumonia. So pneumonia is infection of the lung, so consolidation of the lung. So if you look at it, the first 3 codes say that it's an infectious disease. The first 3 have been classified as infectious disease. The subsequent 6 have been classified as respiratory disease. But actually, they are both. But with SNOMED, you can have multiple parents. So like in this, there was only one parent. You could either be an infectious disease or a respiratory. You couldn't be both. But here you can. So on the right side, you can see it's classified as an infection. On the left side, it's a lung disorder. And it goes up. Another problem with ICD, it's running out of codes. So if you look at the right lower corner, so if you see the last one, uretrocele. So if a doctor wants to diagnose a uretrocele and he wants to enter it, what prints in the final summary is other specified diseases of the kidney and ureter. So you imagine putting this in the final discharge summary of the patient. It really doesn't make sense. And those 5 or 6 codes below, all of them belong to the same category. SNOMED CT has no such limits. Why? Because the codes are independent of the classification system. So there is hence no sharing of code. Every single condition has its own code. So if you look at the current existing systems, you can just look at the green parts and you see each coding system. So the first column is ICD-10, then ICD-10 PCS. Each one covers one area or at the most 2 areas. But if you look at SNOMED, it covers all. But don't think that just because it covers all, it's powerful. There's a fair amount of medical intelligence within it that actually is the main power of SNOMED. So the question obviously comes is, will it replace ICD-10? Well, it will certainly replace a lot of clinical codes like NANDA codes. It may even replace LOINC and all that. But with ICD-10, it's a yes and no. So in clinical modules, it should replace your ICD codes. So doctors should never see ICD codes. They should see SNOMED codes. But the government of India requires, and the WHO requires, that all information is sent to it in ICD-10. ICD, well, it's 9 or 10 or 11 next year. So those also will have to be used. So the medical records will have to use it. So somewhere in between, we'll have to do a conversion. And yes, there is an automated conversion, or rather a semi-automated conversion mechanism provided within SNOMED CT. So just let's look at a little bit of nuts and bolts of SNOMED CT. So here, as you can see, 1, 2, and 3 are 3 different conditions, and number 4 are different terms for the same condition, right? So each condition, like I've written at the bottom, each clinical idea, each of them is a clinical idea, is called a concept and has a concept number. And you can see these concept numbers are long and random. They're not like the ICD codes I10.4. No, they're not like that. They're just random numbers, really. And not only that, they have different terms attached to it. On the left side, you can see English. On the right side, has Spanish. So if I'm going to transmit a patient's information from here to Spain, I'm transmitting the number. But what the doctor sees at the other end is automatic Spanish terms popping up on the screen. So it's truly international in that sense. And when I'm going to do my connections and relationships, like viral pneumonia, is it an infectious disease or a respiratory disease or both? I can just draw with a pen, a red pen, and I can have my connections and then convert these to numbers and have it in what's called a relationship table that is provided with SNOMED. And because of this, I can have multiple parents because of this, because I can draw any number of lines. So if, in summary, till now, is that each clinical idea is a concept and has a unique concept number. Each concept has multiple terms for it. Like we saw that for myocardial infarction, there are so many. There's a heart attack, there's a cardiac infarction. There is no limit to the number of concepts. You just keep on giving numbers, and numbers are huge. So 2 codes don't have to share. And concepts can have multiple connections. It's almost like a cobweb. Everything connects to each other. So it's multiple connections. Plus, there are other relationships which bring the power of SNOMED CT. So let's look at an example. So in the middle of the screen, I have cellulitis of the foot, which is a disorder of the foot and also is a cellulitis. So two parents. There are some other properties. So for every single concept, this is the single thing. So there are 2 properties over here. There can be 10 properties also. So one is, what is the condition on the right side? It's a cellulitis. Where is it? It's a foot structure, right? Now, let's look at 2 children of cellulitis of the foot, cellulitis of the heel and of the toe. There are many. There are some 15, 20. I'm just showing 2. They also have properties. What is it? It's a cellulitis. Where is it? It's a toe structure. And toe structure is linked to foot being a part of the foot structure. See, these linkages, we are building a cobweb. Same thing with cellulitis of the heel, it's a cellulitis. And where is it? Heel structure, which is part of the foot structure. Now, why do we have all these connections? Because if I want to say, show me all conditions involving the foot or any part of the foot structure, I just have to look at foot and say, show me anything where the finding site was foot, and also where the finding site was any of the children or the grandchildren of foot. Simple, straight clinical analytics. Right side, we have cellulitis. Show me all the cellulitis. Now, you may say it's very easy. All I have to do is Even with ICD-10, I just fire a query saying where contains cellulitis. On the left side, you have all the things with cellulitis. But with SNOMED, because of the additional connections, you also have the thing on the right side. None of them contain cellulitis, but they are cellulitis. You would never pick them up. In fact, if the clinician sitting over here, half of them will not even know that half the conditions on the right side are a type of cellulitis. What is beat knee? What is seal finger? They are all cellulitis. So SNOMED knows that. So if you ask SNOMED, show me cellulitis, it actually goes into and says where associated pathology was cellulitis. Show me all of those. May not contain cellulitis. So your clinical retrieval is much better. And because the clinical retrieval is much better, you can have decision support. The decision support itself, algorithms will be part of the HIS, but SNOMED is going to provide the data. So I say I've got patients with CVA, a stroke coming up. I need to consider them for thrombolytic therapy. So what do? I just say, show me where the diagnosis entered by the doctor is CVA or any of the descendants of CVA, which may not even contain the word CVA in it. As soon as it pops, as soon as the answer says, yes, it is one of those categories, up pops a warning saying, or a message box to the doctor saying, please consider thrombolytic therapy. I want to look at patients with breast cancer because I'm doing a trial on a new breast cancer drug. So infiltrating duct carcinoma is entered. The system knows, SNOMED knows it's a type of breast cancer. Up pops a pop-up box.
Doctor.
Just 2 more slides? Yeah, okay. And then it warns if I can look at for diabetes or kidney disease and all that. So how do we use it in a hospital EMR? So if you see the box on the right side, that's where vendors have a problem in populating data. SNOMED contains all the data. So if I want to say, a foot surgeon says, show me all the foot surgeries only in my drop-down box, I say, okay, operations on the foot and all the descendants of the foot. So that clinical information is there in SNOMED, which is not there. And I can populate any other box like that. So will clinicians benefit from it? Yes, look at all these terms on the left, on the upper part. They're all the synonyms, but the doctor in ICD searches for it, he doesn't find it. He only finds calculus of kidney, but with SNOMED, you'll find everything. Synonyms are not the only thing, they even have short forms. And this, if you look at this, I will stop over here. If you see on the left side, this is what the doctor wants to type, and in ICD, this is what comes out on the right side. So the doctor wants to say, this patient has achlorhydria, but what comes out is, this patient has other specified diseases of the stomach and duodenum. No, ICD is not good for doctors. So in summary, it supports the EMR, it's very clinician-friendly, multilingual, powerful analytics, and augments the decision support. Right? That's 10 minutes.